Hey guys, Fletcher Shryock here. I want to talk to you today about a Yamamoto bait that I feel like is just a little bit overlooked. It's a soft plastic jerkbait known as the D-Shad. Today I'm going to show you why I feel like this is the best soft plastic jerkbait on the market, why, and how I fish this bad boy. What this bait is, it's basically a soft jerk bait, obviously a soft plastic. What makes this bait different, I feel, than other soft jerk baits that are on the market, better than any other soft jerk bait on the market, is the fact that when this bait sinks, because it has the Yamamoto plastic, when this bait sinks, it actually sinks flat, just like a Senko, which everyone is familiar with, but because of the salt content, this bait actually shimmies horizontally all the way to the bottom. You can see here, I've got a green pumpkin D-Shad, and I dipped the tail in chartreuse. This thing looks just like a bluegill in clear water. As I twitch it around bushes or around vegetation or any type of hard cover, this bait walks side to side, falls directly just like I'm holding it, perfectly horizontal, but it has that shimmy because it's got that Yamamoto plastic. That little chartreuse tail is shimmering down. These bass can't resist it. I'm able to cover a lot of water with this bait, hit a lot of targets, fish it very similar to a Senko because let's be real, the profile of this thing is almost the same as the Senko, but I can cover tons of water because I can jerk it through open water and pause it near targets and let this thing shimmy down, and I promise you, you're going to get a lot of bites fishing this bait and able to cover a lot of water for you impatient anglers as well. Stay tuned. I'm going to show you how I fish this bad boy, and I promise you it's going to put a lot of fish in your boat. So I'm basically going to break down the setup that I use to throw this D-Shad. Most of the time I'm going to rig it one simple way. I'm either going to rig it on a 4 or a 5/0 EWG trocar hook so that the bait's weedless, right? So I'm going to go into the head of the D-Shad about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. I'm going to thread the D-Shad up on and up over the eye. I'm then going to lay the bait alongside the hook and find out where the hook point needs to go through depending on the size of the hook and how far I thread it on. I'm going to pop it through and I'm just going to barely bury the tip in the back of the plastic. That way whenever it does come in contact with a bush or wood or any type of grass, it's weedless. On the line, it's basically the same with a Senko. I can fish this thing on as light as 8-pound test, depending if I'm in really clear water and just a little bit of cover or no cover, or I can go all the way up to 20-pound test fluorocarbon. You can throw it on light braid as well, but I recommend fluorocarbon. I like to throw it on an Abu Garcia 7-foot rod. Reason being, I don't get into the real long rods. A 6.6 or a 6.9 would be great too, because once again, you're kind of keeping that rod tip down and you're twitching the bait and you want a shorter rod to do that. I like a medium heavy action, something with a little bit softer tip. I'm able to make a long cast with this bait, but it does have a lot of backbone. High speed reel is very important. This is an 8-to-1 Revo ALX high speed reel. That way I can pick up the slack if one gets it, or if I'm reeling the bait in, I can reel it in really quickly to make my next cast. That's my basic rod, reel, hook and line setup for this bait. You use this thing, I promise you it's going to catch a lot more fish. So we're out here today on Sam Rayburn Reservoir in Texas. We've had a lot of rain here the last couple days. The lake is actually 3 or 4 feet above full pool. As you can tell, there is tons of bushes and grass and trees in the water. The water's really high, and what it does, it makes fishing a little bit difficult because the fish have all these places to hide. It's almost like trying to find a needle in a haystack. And as I mentioned, the Senko is just a really effective way to catch fish. But with all this flooded cover, it's really hard to fish a Senko because you have to fish a Senko slow. It's hard to fish a Senko effectively. That's where the D-Shad comes in. I'm able to cast this bait way back in the flooded cover. I'm going to give it a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, depending on how deep I want to fish it. And I'm going to start jerking the bait. I'm going to give it a couple jerks and let it pause. And then I'm going to, once again, jerk, jerk, let it pause. Once I come up to a piece of cover, say a bush or a log or a piece of grass, I'm gonna stop and let that bait sink down. And then I'm gonna go back to jerking. Once I get it past all the targets, I'm gonna reel it back in and make another cast to a specific piece. And if I think there's a good chance that there's a fish possibly sitting right next to that piece of cover, I'm just gonna let it sink just like I would a Senko. I'm gonna check it to see if one's on there, and I'm gonna go right back to 2 jerks, let it sit, 2 jerks. I'm just able to cover a lot of water, something I'm not able to do as well with the Senko, yet still catch those same fish and all this flooded cover.